Hey there, biology boys and girls, and welcome to our video covering Punnett Squares and section 8.3, the studying of heredity. I think the easiest way for me to give you information about what we're looking at in 8.3 and kind of review some of the stuff from 8.1 and 8.2 at the same time is by just walking you through this practice packet, or a couple parts in this practice packet that you're going to be assigned to do this Thursday, and or they'll be due at the end of this Thursday or next Tuesday, 2nd of April. We've got this second page here, and it's talking about sheep and the gene for wool color, whereas the gene for white wool, big W, is dominant over the gene for black wool. Okay? And the word gene is appropriate here, but really what they mean to say is that the allele for white wool and the allele for black wool, okay? Because what we've got is we've got these chromosomes, right? And there might be a certain segment of that chromosome that encodes for a specific protein or a specific trait, okay? We call that a gene. Well, genes, there's usually multiple, at least 2 to many different types of genes or encodings for that trait. So for instance, this area right here of this chromosome is going to encode for wool color on this sheep, and it's got a variety of colors present, 2 to be exact. So white or black. And remember that most of these organisms, especially human beings, were diploid, so we've got 2 of these chromosomes. Okay? So you're going to get one of these chromosomes from mom, one of these chromosomes from dad, and from mom you may be getting the dominant allele, and from dad you may be getting the recessive allele. Therefore you would be considered heterozygous. But I digress here, okay? So we're getting back to this. So the sheep, it's talking about how we've got an allele for black wool, which is big, little w, and an allele for white wool, which is big W. The sheep in the P1 generation, meaning the parent generation, okay, produce the sheep in the F1 generation. And the F1 sheep are the parents to the sheep in the F2. So this P generation, we call that the parental or parent generation. And this F2 and this F1, okay, those are known as the filial generations, all right, or the offspring, okay? For each generation, write the genes for wool color. Also color the sheep white or black according to their genotype, all right? Go ahead and erase this right here, and we'll scroll down and we'll get this going. So we've got mom and dad here, all right, in this P generation. And let's say that this is dad right here, and that this is mom, okay? Big W encodes for white, so we'll leave dad white. We won't touch dad. But mom is little w, so mom is actually a black sheep. Okay? Mama is a black sheep right here, all right? She would be what we consider homozygous recessive. That means she has the 2 versions of the gene that are recessive. She has the 2 recessive alleles for this certain trait. Okay? The only time a recessive trait can be expressed is when you are indeed homozygous recessive, because if you at all have one of the dominant alleles for that trait, you will express that dominant version. In this instance, white. Dad is considered homozygous dominant. Homozygous, again, homo meaning same, zygous, kind of referring to the reproductive status that dad provides, okay, because his gamete, his male sperm cell gamete, is going to be carrying a dominant allele, all right? It's going to be carrying a dominant allele, so when it forms with that egg cell, when it makes that zygote, it's going to provide a dominant version for that trait. Dad is homozygous dominant, mom is homozygous recessive. So a little review there, a little vocab from 8.1 and 8.2. All right, so we got our parental generation here, the very first generation. All right, that's in the books. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get down to this first filial generation. All right, so this would kind of be like mom and dad, whereas maybe that's grandma and grandpa. This is mom and dad. So if we've got, and these are Punnett Square action here, okay? If we go back up to that parental generation, we've got mom being lowercase w's, okay, homozygous recessive, and dad being big case w's, homozygous dominant. And if we're to do a test cross, if we're to cross these, okay, this is showing the percentages of the genotypes for the offspring. So mom and dad mate, they make one offspring. These are the percentages for the genotype that offspring is going to possess. It's not saying it's going to make each offspring, like one offspring this, one offspring this, one this, one this. No, it's saying that you've got one offspring, and here are the chances for it to be this genotype or this genotype. Okay, so each one of these Punnett squares only represents the chances for one offspring. Okay, and because they're typically the same mates at the beginning in the parental generation, it'd be the same chances for each of the following offspring after that. Okay, so we've got these sheep that have been created by the parental generation. So what will their genotypes be, the actual letter representations? Big W, little w, big W, little w. Okay? And we would refer to these as having heterozygous genotypes. Okay? Heterozygous genotypes. So we know that they have a dominant allele and they have one of the recessive alleles. They will be expressing, or you will actually see, the dominant version of this trait, which would be white wool. So we won't color them. And be white wool because big W represents white, and white is dominant for this trait. Now, it gets interesting when these two individuals reproduce to generate the second filial generation. Okay? So we've got the female genes being big W, little w, and the male genes being big W, little w. Okay? So we carry out this Punnett square, and we find out that there's a 25% chance that a child or an offspring of these two sheep that are heterozygous for the genotype, but white for the phenotype, the physical appearance, there's a 25% chance right away, 1 in 4, that they will be homozygous dominant. Okay? Okay? Now we go ahead and take this big W over here and the little w down here, and we find out there's a 1 in 4 chance that this offspring could be heterozygous, just like mom and dad. We take this big W down, we take this little w over, and we find out that there's another chance. So 2 out of 4 now, 1 out of 2, 50% chance that the offspring will be heterozygous. So we take the little w down and the little w over, and we find out that there's also, again, a 1 in 4 chance that this offspring could be homozygous recessive. Okay? Could be homozygous recessive. Alright? So this is kind of the completion of a Punnett square. Alright? Deb Henry made a good comment that it's kind of like foiling in math. And it is. That's a pretty good analogy. You're going to take this W from the male genotype, and it's going to go here in this box, and it's going to go over here in this box. And you're going to take this little W, and you're going to put it in this box, and you're going to put it over in this box. And you're going to take this big W for mom, or whatever letter is present here, and you're going to put it in this box, and put it in this box. And then you're going to take the other one, and you're going to put it in this box, and put it in this box. And that gives you the potential genotypes, for the offspring. Okay? And from the genotypes, you can then infer what phenotypes may be present. All right? So some pretty good stuff there. Hopefully that helps make sense of some of the material that we've been covering so far. I know the initial video kind of tore through some of it. What's up, Mr. Thomas? You're fine. You can say hi. I'm filming on the iPad, actually. It's okay. You got it. Yeah, I did. We're good to go. You out of here? Yeah. Good luck. See you. Have fun. As much fun as you can have, I guess. Okay. So again, hopefully this kind of makes some sense of some things here. Notice that I've used quite a bit of the vocab that you would see